All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I am joined today by an illustrious panel, and we're going to be talking about the place of AV in the future of enterprise technology. So we'll just run down, and if everyone can just introduce themselves.
Yeah, my name's Peter Coman from InDesign Technologies. I'm the founder of InDesign, and we're a audio-visual technology consulting company based in Sydney. We do work all around Australia.
I'm Stuart Craig, the CEO of Crestron in Asia Pacific, and this is my hometown. Happy to be here for a change.
I'm Rashid Skaf. I'm the president and CEO of Biamp out of Portland, Oregon.
There are a lot of buzzwords, there are a lot of trends that are shaping enterprise technology. There's big data, there's AI, there's IoT, and there's a host more. Now, my first question is, do you think the AV industry as a whole is knowledgeable about what these trends are?
I think I would just say, first of all, the word trend is misleading.
Yeah.
I mean, trend is like because I can wear the same sunnies that I have in 1988 again, because they're Ray-Bans and they're cool again.
Yeah.
Right? This is not a trend. This is the new industry, right? And we need to treat it as seriously as that.
I think there's a whole evolution that's happened over many years, and we see this for those of us who have gone through this before in the communications era. It's kind of gone from on-premise solutions to ASPs, which was the cloud of its day, back to on-premise. Now it's going back to the cloud, being used with big data. We're seeing big data used in all of our aspects, whether it's Google or whether it's your car or any kind of search engine. We're just applying all of that to our industry these days. So I don't think that this is anything that's revolutionary. It's just evolutionary from where we've been.
And it's important that we know the big data and AI and whatever, they're just a part of this, right? What we're really saying is we want a connected enterprise, right? A managed connected enterprise. And yeah, as Rashid said, we went through the digital world and now we're going through the cloud world. But this is a new skill set for a whole bunch of people. And I would just say that nobody should be freaking out or scared, right? You know, this is about opportunity. I mean, I've been doing this since 1994, and it was about overhead projectors, right? That's scary. That's got no future. This is fantastic. This is us as an industry standing up and creating almost a new industry, a workplace technology industry, and saying for with a different bunch of skill sets that the IT director can understand, we can absolutely all grow our businesses. So don't be fearful, but do change.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing is a consumerization of the corporate spaces and so on, of our industry as a whole. Companies like Google and Microsoft and Amazon and so on are leading that way. And I think it's something that we need to be very mindful of. I don't think our industry is really all that ready for it, but I think we need to be, because if we're not, I think those companies will just take over. You know, we need to work in with those organisations and the technologies that they bring, because those technologies are familiar to those people. So I agree with Stuart. I don't see it as a trend. It's just the reality of it, that I have a phone that I can control my apartment. Why can't I control my boardroom with it? It's an expectation.
I think that the jobs of Stuart and myself and our companies, what we do is on the technology side are enable those things to become seamless to the consumers and to the people using our spaces, to design them well in the spaces that we're going to work and play and live in. Ultimately, manufacturers have to incorporate that in, so it is really the channel's ability to incorporate it. If you look at the automation industry, which Stuart and I have both been part of for a long time, it really was about taking input from something and making a decision. Now we're taking billions of inputs and making decisions. The scale is bigger, but the concept is the same. So everybody in this industry has been doing this for 20 years. We've just been calling it something else on a smaller scale. It's time to grow up and to get to take the next leap.
It's time to grow up.
That's all there is to it.
And are we ready? Crestron, sure, and we just got Microsoft's IoT Partner of the Year award. Now, that's great for Crestron, don't get me wrong, but it's actually great for our industry, because ultimately, Microsoft says, okay, you guys have just released all this cloud stuff and virtual control stuff and whatever. You get this award, not for the AV industry or for a region or whatever, globally, right? That gives huge potential to everybody who's watching this thing today, that if they, retrain, scale their business, make changes and whatever, there's a whole industry out there ready to embrace you. And the whole fear factor, I'm anti the fear factor. I'm all about the pros, because I think this is great for all of us. the whole fear factor that the IT industry is going to overtake us and whatever is absolute nonsense. They need us, they need our skill set. Yes, we have to adapt our skill set. For example, we need a lot more C# programmers and those sorts of things. But again, we've done that before as an industry, we can do it again. And they're not going to overtake us. They need us, and we need to work together.
And I think Stuart's point is valid. It's about the whole industry taking a step forward. So if any one of us has success in any one of these spaces, we as an industry need to celebrate it, because it's
100%.
about all of us becoming successful and moving that next step, rather than, of course we're trying to all compete and all trying to, kick each other out. But at the end of the day, we got to elevate the whole industry and the whole conversation from where it's going.
Rashid's right. Us getting that award was great for Crestron, but it was actually for everyone in the industry to
Yeah.
go, wow, we have a place.
Yeah.
This is cool.
But what's interesting is that IoT started off as said a consumer consumer technology that has worked its way into this corporate space or the Pro AV space, and it's organisations like Crestron and Biamp that need to cater for that. That's the thing, right? You've got this pro technology that's been around for a long time. You can continue to go down that path and ignore it. I think you'll be left in the dark if that's the case, rather than turning around and saying, hang on, how can we incorporate that technology into our products or work with that technology to provide those solutions that the client is expecting?
Well, we've all been here. I'll jump to another topic kind of associated with this. The industry has been, when I joined 20 years ago, it was really about connecting things together, right? And we were worried about these signals and these connectors and these things that worked. And then we kind of evolved to the types of rooms. What types of rooms are we in? Are we in this type of room, a collaboration space, a Skype space, a video conferencing space? And now we're evolving to having kind of mixed-use spaces and open environments. Ultimately, big data and automation and artificial intelligence is about taking the inputs and making it so that space adapts to us rather than us adapting to the space. And that's, as an industry, that's where we all have to get to and all have to help each other work on. If we can't do that, back to Peter's point, the industry will take a black eye. It's not one company or the other. We really have to elevate it to where we adapt to the environments that are in.
No, definitely. We definitely have to grow up. There's definitely opportunity around the horizon. But there's also this thing about how does AV become part of the conversation that is shaping this evolution that we're experiencing right now?
I think it's become a seismic change we've seen in the last couple of years, and that is the amount of end users, large end users, corporate customers and universities who want Crestron at the table to say, hey, we're making this big leap, we need you, right? We want to have this conversation. So they're pulling us into it, and again, whether it's Microsoft or whoever, they're doing the same thing. It's I don't know if it's an evolution or whatever it is, but it's definitely a big change where it used to be the AV guy was the last guy in the room, right? Last person in.
Yep.
Now the AV guy is sitting at the table and saying, well, I'm the workplace technology guy for a start, and if you want to build a facility or expand or whatever it is, we need to be a part of it from day one. So, and that is coming as a request and a need from the end user.
Yeah,
Peter's not sure.
No. I would love that all to happen. The reality is, it doesn't always happen. Consultants and so on who work in that space get brought on early enough to help shape everything else that goes on around them. We continue to design in silos, and it's almost a case of let's get all the foundations right, the architecture, the electrical, and all the other services right. Once that's all set in place, then we'll go and talk to the AV guy, right? And we come in at such a late stage, as wrong as it is, we come in at such a late stage when AV is the most complex discipline of them all, and yet it gets the least amount of attention. And we are coming in trying to play catch up in these spaces, asking for larger comms rooms and change this, change that, and then we look like the bad guy for asking all this. It's like, well, you should have got us involved earlier to help you shape this.
Yeah, I guess my experience is different. Our experience has been, I get it because we've all been in that place for a long time, I get it. But my experience in the last couple of years has been totally different insofar as we are just getting pulled into big projects really early, big discussions. It hasn't, this is what we want today, how are you going to do it? And I think that's a great story.
I don't think that at the end of the day, and we could talk about individual companies or thought process, but as an industry, we are a huge industry, and we should stop referring to ourselves as a small part. We are, however, a small part of an overarching building management system and an infrastructure system. And so there are things going on shaping that conversation every day, and how things come together, how things are going to be a part of the overarching building system itself. Our job is to get a seat at the table by participating. And I think it's as simple as that, and kind of not bitch and moan about the fact that things are going on. If you want a seat at the table, get a seat at the table. And there are great companies, whether it's Biamp or Crestron or others in this industry that want a seat at that table. Some ways, we may end up buying a building management company or some other type of structure, understanding that the customers are different along the way as well. Those people making lighting decisions or building management decisions or AV decisions are not always the same. And that's always been the challenge with where we are as a building management kind of business, is who is the customer? And can you get to those people? But let's get a seat at the table by doing all the right things. And a lot of it is about following the trends that are already out there. We don't have to go recreate that or fight it. Our job is to make sure that we adhere to it so that we can be a part of the bigger conversation.
And he's 100% right. We're not a small industry anymore. We are absolutely, we're powerful in our own knowledge and our scale, and the fact that people want us and need us more and more.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask a wide-ranging two-part kind of question.
I can't do two parts. That's too confusing. You'll have to go with one.
One at a time.
For Stuart, it's just going to be part A,
A.
and everyone else can do part A. And
No worries.
This thing that was mentioned right now, where we have to get a seat at the table and we have to cooperate with everyone else who has a seat at the table, right? We can't be in silos anymore. We have to go across our verticals, and we have to cooperate with everyone who's doing this together. So part A would be, how essential do all of you think is it for all parties involved to work together in order to get the most out of this evolution that we're seeing? And part two would be, how do we start this cooperation off, and how do we keep it progressing to the point where we can fully realize the potential of things like big data, IoT, AI, so on and so forth?
So let me start by saying I don't think that the paranoia or the concern about having a seat at the table is one I've heard a lot in the last number of years. At the end of the day, you've got to do the right thing to build your business, and that's how we build demand, right? I mean, that's what we do every day. It doesn't matter whether you're making XYZ or audio equipment. But our seat at the table will come from integration with the rest of the channels. And each party, just like it is in your personal relationship, wants something from someone else. And so at the end of the day, how do you cooperate? How do you make it interesting for them to be a part of it? It's the same process we're going to be part of here. So that's how we started, is by bringing something to the table. And we bring a ton of value to the table. We make people more effective, right? We make them more efficient, and we make them more productive as we go out into the field. And that is not a small feat. That is the holy grail of what everybody's trying to get to.
You bet.
So let's take that advantage. Let's take the automation that we already know in our former businesses or current businesses, and put that into effect so that it helps people become more efficient, effective, and productive.
This whole conversation about the meeting place and making it more productive and more efficient. I mean, there's so much media coverage about it and mainstream thing. We even know when you meet up with friends at barbecues and things, and they'll tell you the same thing. Oh man, they had this problem and whatever it might be. It's a huge. If you look at the cost of real estate in this city, for example, and everyone takes 10 floors or whatever they're going to take, every minute counts in terms of productivity. And so again, there's this driving need that gets us to the table. We've got to stop worrying so much about that and making sure we actually do it right, and talk to the CIO in the language that they want to be engaged with, and that is, yes, I'll put it in the cloud, I'll manage it, I'll deploy it, I will do it in C#, I will run HTML5, all these sorts of things, and they go, wow, you're talking my language, okay, this is where this industry needs to be.
Yeah, well, the reality is that the IT guy is the gatekeeper now. It's not facilities, it's the IT guy. So to Stuart's point, if you're talking their language, you're part of their team. And in the past, we haven't done that. We haven't done a good job of talking their language. We have been predominantly a proprietary industry. Proprietary cabling, connectors, protocols, codecs, to protect our own ecosystem. and I think that's we have created this problem part of this problem for ourselves by doing this and operating in our own little silos as well. So the more we can then, get into existing infrastructure and systems, the more we will be accepted as part of that and have those earlier conversations.
Gentlemen, thank you for your time. I'm going to open the floor up to questions. So if anyone's got anything they would like clarified, anything they would like to ask, now would be the time. I think we've got a very shy
We
audience.
stumped them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we answered every question, I think.
Yeah,
I
we were
think
that
so,
good,
but
you
there's
reckon?
absolutely
I reckon.
nothing in their minds that is not clarified. So, once again, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job.
Hey.